Megan woke up that Saturday morning with a sense of lightness she hadn't felt in weeks. The sunlight streamed through her bedroom window, filling the room with warmth, and she stretched with a quiet smile. Summer was in full bloom, and for once, she didn't have any work commitments pressing her. Her sister Claire had asked her to watch her teenage son, Jake, for a few hours while she ran errands. And Megan felt both excitement and mild apprehension. She loved Jake, but teenagers always brought unpredictability. And today, another of his friends, Ryan, would also be visiting for the first time. Megan was determined to make the day pleasant for everyone, even if it meant stepping slightly out of her comfort zone. After a quick shower, Megan chose a casual yet confident outfit, a light floral miniskirt paired with a crisp white blouse and soft sandals. She had to admit the skirt made her feel youthful and energetic, a small personal boost to her morning. It wasn't about impressing anyone. This was simply about her feeling comfortable and free in her own skin. She glanced in the mirror, adjusted the blouse, and took a deep breath. Today, she would be both aunt and mentor, keeping the teenagers entertained, while also gently guiding them through the little lessons life often presented. By the time Jake arrived, Megan had prepared a small snack table with iced tea, fruit, and cookies. She wanted the afternoon to feel relaxed, a space where conversation and laughter could flow naturally. Jake bounded into the house with the enthusiasm only a 13-year-old could possess. Dropping his backpack carelessly by the door and exclaiming, "Megan? Hi, you're here early." Megan laughed at his energy. "Hi, Jake. Make yourself at home. I've set up some snacks. I thought we could have a little fun while your mom is out." He grinned, already scanning the snacks, and Megan felt a sense of satisfaction. The day had started well. Ryan, Jake's friend, arrived shortly after, a bit more reserved. Megan noticed him hesitating at the doorway, adjusting his backpack nervously. She offered him a warm smile. "Hi, Ryan. Welcome. Come in and make yourself comfortable." He smiled back a little shyly. "Thanks. It's my first time here," he said, his voice soft but polite. Megan could see a spark of curiosity in his eyes, not uncommon for teenagers entering a new environment. She guided him to the living room, where Jake immediately involved him in a video game. And Megan returned to the kitchen to put finishing touches on the snacks. As she worked, she became aware of Ryan occasionally glancing her way. She didn't think much of it at first. Teenagers often stared at new things or people as part of curiosity. But there was something earnest and slightly nervous in his gaze that made her pause briefly. She brushed it off as harmless observation and returned to arranging the iced tea. Life had taught her to notice small details, and she could feel subtle energy shifts in the room. But she reminded herself that today was about patience, guidance, and creating a positive environment. Suddenly, Ryan called out from the doorway, a hint of hesitation in his voice. "Megan, can I ask something?" Megan looked up, curious. He held a notebook and a camera. "I'm learning photography, and I think the lighting here is perfect. Could I take a picture of you?" Megan blinked in surprise. The request was unexpected, but not inappropriate. He seemed genuinely interested in learning and improving his skills. "A picture?" she asked carefully. "Yes, just a portrait. Nothing weird, I promise." There was a sincerity in his tone that made her feel reassured. Megan paused for a moment. Normally, she would hesitate with strangers taking her picture, but there was something refreshing about this request. She considered the situation. The camera wasn't a threat. Ryan's demeanor was respectful, and the learning experience might even be a fun distraction for him. After a few seconds of thought, she nodded. "All right, one photo. Let's keep it simple and tasteful," she said with a small laugh. Ryan's eyes lit up with gratitude, and Megan felt a tiny thrill of anticipations. Sometimes, stepping into small acts of trust could be surprisingly rewarding. As Ryan prepared his camera, Megan stood in a relaxed pose near the kitchen window. The sunlight hit her softly, creating natural highlights that enhanced the warm, airy atmosphere. She could see Ryan concentrating on the angle, adjusting the camera with the focus of someone who took their craft seriously. Megan felt an unusual sense of connection, though there was no prior bond between them in this small shared moment. There was a mutual understanding of respect and purpose. He was learning, she was guiding. And together they were creating something harmless yet meaningful. After several careful adjustments, Ryan finally took the photograph. Megan moved slightly, following his suggestions, and noticed the joy in his expression when he captured the shot correctly. When he showed her the camera screen, Megan felt genuinely impressed. The photograph was well composed, capturing her natural confidence and the warmth of her smile. It wasn't vanity that made her admire it. It was the realization that through patience, collaboration, and trust, even a brief interaction could leave an imprint of positivity. "This is really good," Megan said, her voice filled with genuine appreciation. Ryan's cheeks reddened slightly. "Thanks. I've been practicing a lot," he replied. Megan smiled. "You can see the light, the angles, and the small gestures. That's what makes photography more than just a click." He nodded, absorbing her advice with seriousness beyond his years. For the next hour, Megan found herself drawn into a subtle mentorship. Ryan asked for tips on natural poses, the use of light, and capturing emotion without staging it artificially. Megan guided him patiently, showing him how to tilt the head slightly, how to focus on genuine expressions, and even how to make someone feel comfortable in front of a camera. They laughed together when Ryan suggested funny poses and Megan exaggerated her gestures for humor. The room was filled with energy, not sexual or inappropriate, but rich with shared learning, laughter, and mutual respect. Meanwhile, Jake was busy with his video game but occasionally checked in, impressed with Ryan's photography efforts. Megan noticed the subtle dynamics: a young person seeking guidance, another observing with interest, and an adult facilitating growth. The miniskirt she wore, which might have seemed important in the morning as a personal choice, had now faded into irrelevance. What mattered was connection, patience, and the development of trust. Megan felt a quiet satisfaction, knowing that she was creating a small but meaningful space for learning and confidence. By mid-afternoon, Megan, Jake, and Ryan settled with iced tea and cookies. The conversation drifted from photography to hobbies, school experiences, and lighthearted personal stories. Megan listened, asked questions, and shared anecdotes from her own teenage years, always keeping the tone friendly and encouraging. Ryan seemed more relaxed now, his nervousness replaced with curiosity and eagerness. Megan felt proud, not in a boastful way, but in the knowledge that she was helping someone gain confidence and understanding in a safe environment. Ryan finally spoke up, a little hesitant but sincere. "Megan, thank you for letting me take the picture and for helping me learn today. I really appreciate it." Megan smiled warmly, the genuine nature of his gratitude touching her. "You're welcome, Ryan. Remember, it's not the camera that makes a picture good. It's your care, your focus, and the intention behind it. That's the real lesson." He nodded thoughtfully, and Megan could see the realization settling in. It was a moment of growth, a small but important step for a young person, learning to navigate life and art. As the afternoon light shifted and shadows began to lengthen, Megan reflected quietly on the day so far. The house had started as a simple weekend setup, but through small, unexpected interactions, it had become a space of learning, laughter, and connection. The miniskirt, which had felt like a personal statement in the morning, now symbolized nothing more than Megan's comfort and confidence. What truly mattered was her role in guiding, listening, and engaging with young minds in a positive, meaningful way. The first part of the day ended with a sense of calm satisfaction. Megan had helped a young person learn, connected with her nephew in playful and meaningful ways, and realized the importance of mentorship and trust. She understood that the unexpected moments, like a teenager's curiosity or a casual photograph, could lead to learning, laughter, and emotional growth. Megan felt ready to continue the day with patience, creativity, and a sense of purpose, knowing that even ordinary afternoons could turn into memorable experiences. And yet, As she prepared to tidy the kitchen and check in on the boys, a subtle thought lingered in her mind. Sometimes, the most ordinary days brought the most extraordinary lessons. Megan had no idea that the next hour would deepen that realization in ways she hadn't yet imagined. The afternoon sunlight filtered through the living room curtains, casting long golden streaks across the carpet. Megan, feeling satisfied with the morning's activities, thought the day could only continue smoothly. Jake and Ryan had settled into a comfortable rhythm, their laughter and chatter filling the room. Megan's role as aunt and mentor seemed to be unfolding naturally, and she felt a quiet pride in helping these young minds explore their creativity. She returned to the kitchen to prepare some lemonade, glancing occasionally at the boys and enjoying the easy warmth of the home. Ryan, camera in hand, seemed more confident than before, occasionally asking Megan questions about composition and light. His curiosity was contagious, and Megan found herself explaining the subtleties of angles and shadow in a way that made even the simplest photograph feel significant. She demonstrated how a tilt of the head or a subtle change in posture could completely alter the perception of an image. Ryan listened intently, his face focused and serious, though a smile occasionally broke through when Megan made an exaggerated pose to illustrate a point. Megan laughed at his reactions, enjoying the simple joy of guiding someone genuinely eager to learn. Jake, sensing the creativity in the room, put his video game aside and wandered over to watch Ryan and Megan interact. "Can I try too?" he asked eagerly, holding up a small action figure as if it could become a model for their photography experiment. Megan nodded. "Of course, Jake. We can do a mini session with your toy. Think of it as learning how to frame and use the background." She appreciated how this small activity drew them together, creating a shared experience that wasn't forced or contrived. Ryan nodded in agreement, setting the camera on a low tripod, ready to capture the tiny scene. As the boys experimented, Megan felt a sense of calm satisfaction. The day was progressing in a way she hadn't anticipated, full of creativity, laughter, and learning. She took a moment to sit on the couch, observing quietly Ryan's careful adjustments, Jake's playful energy, and the sunlight filtering through the windows created a scene of domestic harmony. Megan realized that moments like these, seemingly ordinary, carried subtle lessons in patience, collaboration, and observation. She smiled softly, appreciating the depth of experience in such a simple afternoon. Ryan, noticing her quiet presence, looked up and asked, "Megan, can I take another picture of you? I want to try something different with the light." Megan raised an eyebrow, curious but cautious. "Another one? All right, but this time, let's keep it simple and natural," she said, moving to stand near the window where the sunlight created soft highlights. Ryan's hands shook slightly with excitement as he adjusted the camera. Megan noted his genuine enthusiasm and felt a sense of responsibility to guide him carefully. This was not about vanity or attention. It was about nurturing his skill and confidence in a safe and respectful environment. As the photograph session continued, Megan demonstrated how to create emotion and narrative without words. She moved naturally, adjusting her posture as Ryan directed, and offered subtle tips about expression and presence. "It's not just about standing still," she explained. "It's about conveying feeling. Let your posture and gestures tell a story." Ryan nodded, absorbing every word, and Megan could see a transformation in his approach. The camera, once a source of nervousness, had become a tool for self-expression and learning. She felt a quiet sense of accomplishment, knowing she had facilitated this growth. Meanwhile, Jake's curiosity about photography led him to experiment with different angles and perspectives using his action figure. Megan encouraged him, pointing out how even small subjects could teach big lessons about focus, background, and storytelling. "See, Jake, every photograph tells a story, no matter the size of the subject," she said. He nodded enthusiastically, clearly thrilled by the idea that even his little toy could hold meaning in a larger frame. Megan admired the boy's creativity, realizing that this shared learning experience had fostered collaboration and mutual respect. As the afternoon progressed, Megan suggested a small break for snacks and reflection. They gathered around the table, enjoying lemonade and cookies while chatting casually about their day. Ryan's initial nervousness had completely melted, replaced by a confident curiosity and excitement about photography. Megan listened attentively as he described what he had learned and what he wanted to try next. "You're really improving fast," she said warmly. "It's amazing to see your progress in just a few hours." Ryan smiled, pride evident in his expression. And Megan felt a deep sense of satisfaction knowing she had contributed positively to this growth. After the break, Megan decided to introduce a creative challenge. "Why don't we each take one photograph that tells a story?" she suggested. The boys were immediately intrigued, eager to put their skills into practice. Megan showed them how to use light, framing, and subtle movements to create emotion and narrative in a single image. Ryan approached the challenge with focus and dedication, while Jake brought playful energy and imagination. Megan's guidance was gentle but deliberate, helping both boys understand the nuances of visual storytelling, while encouraging their individual styles as they worked on their projects. Megan noticed subtle changes in both boys' approaches. Ryan was more confident in experimenting with angles and lighting, while Jake was becoming increasingly attentive to details and the emotions conveyed through posture and props. Megan encouraged them to critique their own work constructively, teaching them the value of self-reflection and thoughtful feedback. "Photography isn't just about taking pictures," she explained. "It's about understanding what you want to communicate and how to make that clear to others." The boys listened intently, absorbing these lessons naturally in the flow of the activity. Later, Megan suggested a small gallery setup in the living room. They displayed the photographs on the coffee table, arranging them for presentation. Ryan and Jake both took turns explaining their thought process behind each image, and Megan offered positive, constructive feedback. "I love how you captured the light here, Ryan," she said. "It tells a story without needing words." She turned to Jake. "And Jake, your imagination really shines through in this one. You've captured movement and emotion beautifully." Both boys beamed with pride, their confidence visibly strengthened by Megan's guidance and encouragement. As the evening approached, Megan reflected quietly on the day's progress. What had started as a simple afternoon of babysitting had evolved into a rich experience of learning, creativity, and personal growth. The sunlight outside deepened into a golden hue, filling the room with warmth and a sense of calm fulfillment. Megan felt proud, not in a boastful way, but in the quiet satisfaction of knowing she had facilitated a positive, enriching experience for two young minds. It was a reminder that even ordinary days could hold extraordinary lessons and memories. Suddenly, Ryan hesitated, camera in hand, and looked at Megan with a serious expression. "Megan, can I try one more thing?" he asked carefully. Megan smiled, curious. "Of course. What do you have in mind?" Ryan explained that he wanted to capture a candid moment, something spontaneous that reflected genuine emotion rather than posed perfection. Megan appreciated the thoughtfulness behind his idea. "All right, let's try it," she said, feeling a mixture of curiosity and quiet excitement. This was the type of creative trust she valued, an opportunity to nurture talent while maintaining a safe and respectful environment. The final photograph session became an exercise in subtle emotion and storytelling. Megan encouraged Ryan to observe natural interactions, guiding him to notice light, expression, and movement without instructing him overtly. Jake, observing quietly, offered playful suggestions and cheered both Megan and Ryan on. Megan felt a deep sense of connection with both boys in this shared creative space. It was a demonstration of trust, learning, and collaboration. And the resulting photographs were far more meaningful than any casual snapshot could ever be. By the time the sun began to set, Megan suggested a final review of the day's work. They sat together on the couch, looking at the images on the camera screen. Ryan and Jake were full of enthusiasm, discussing details and discoveries with Megan's gentle guidance. Megan marveled at the transformation she had witnessed from initial nervousness to confident exploration. The boys had learned lessons not just about photography, but about patience, observation, and collaboration. Megan herself felt renewed, inspired by the energy, curiosity, and trust the boys had shown. As the evening settled, Megan helped the boys clean up their setup, encouraging them to reflect on the day's experiences. Today wasn't just about taking pictures, she said softly. It was about noticing, learning, and expressing yourself. You both did wonderfully. Ryan smiled, grateful for her encouragement, while Jake nodded enthusiastically. Megan felt a quiet satisfaction, knowing that she had guided them safely, respectfully, and positively throughout the afternoon. The house now carried a sense of accomplishment and shared experience that would linger in their memories. Yet, as Megan prepared dinner and the boys settled with light activities, a small thought lingered in her mind. Even the most innocent and well-intentioned interactions carried the potential to teach, connect, and leave an impression. The house had quieted as evening approached, with a warm glow from the lamps casting soft shadows on the walls. Megan had finished tidying up the living room and kitchen after their creative afternoon, feeling a sense of satisfaction. The boys, Jake and Ryan, were now engaged in light reading and drawing, but the energy of earlier lingered in the air. Megan reflected on the day's events, the growth she had witnessed, the laughter, the focused attention, and realized how meaningful even a seemingly ordinary day could be. She smiled softly, feeling a quiet fulfillment that came from guiding others and witnessing their confidence bloom. Suddenly, Ryan set down his sketchpad and looked at Megan with a thoughtful expression. "Megan, could we do one more project?" he asked, his voice eager but cautious. Megan, intrigued, raised an eyebrow. "One more. What did you have in mind?" Ryan explained that he wanted to create a small storyboard of photographs that told a simple narrative, a sequence that could capture moments, motions, and small stories within a single theme. Megan was impressed. She realized that Ryan was beginning to understand not just technique, but storytelling. And she felt proud to support his curiosity. "All right, let's do it," she said warmly. "We'll make it our final project for the day." They moved back to the living room, carefully setting up a few props and adjusting furniture to create interesting angles and perspectives. Megan suggested a theme about friendship and connection, keeping it safe, simple, and imaginative. The boys enthusiastically participated, arranging small objects and props to represent different parts of the story. Megan guided them gently, demonstrating how subtle gestures, light, and positioning could convey emotion and narrative. "A photograph doesn't need words to tell something important," she explained. "It's about what you capture in a moment and how it feels to someone looking at it." As they worked, Megan noticed Ryan's confidence had grown immensely. He carefully framed shots, adjusted lighting, and gave thoughtful suggestions about angles. Jake, meanwhile, brought a playful energy to the task, suggesting creative ideas for props and backgrounds. Megan encouraged both boys to experiment freely, emphasizing that mistakes were part of learning. "Every attempt teaches you something," she reminded them. "And sometimes the unexpected result is even better than what you planned." The boys absorbed the advice, applying it immediately with enthusiasm. Megan decided to take part in the project herself, moving into the frame to demonstrate ideas while maintaining boundaries. She showed how posture and subtle expressions could communicate emotions like curiosity, joy, or contemplation without exaggeration. Ryan observed intently, adjusting the camera carefully, while Jake provided supportive feedback and suggestions. Megan felt a deep sense of satisfaction witnessing their engagement, their creativity, and their trust in her guidance. It was clear that this shared activity had strengthened their bond and fostered a sense of teamwork and respect. As the storyboard project unfolded, Megan guided the boys through sequencing, how to connect images so they told a story from beginning to end. They arranged photographs to show progression, focusing on small, meaningful moments rather than grand gestures. Megan encouraged reflection at each step. "Look at this one," she said softly, pointing to a photo of a small toy and a sketchpad side by side. "See how it creates anticipation and curiosity. You can make a story without saying a single word." Ryan nodded, absorbing the lesson while Jake's eyes lit up at the creative possibilities. Megan felt a swell of pride, realizing she had facilitated a space where imagination, skill, and confidence intersected beautifully. Time passed quickly, the sun finally dipping below the horizon, leaving the room bathed in a warm twilight. Megan noticed subtle changes in the boys' demeanor. They were calmer, more focused, yet still excited by their accomplishments. She suggested a mini exhibition on the living room table, placing the photographs in order and letting the boys present their ideas. Ryan spoke with clarity, explaining the narrative behind each shot. Jake, less articulate but equally enthusiastic, described his choices with gestures and imaginative storytelling. Megan provided gentle guidance, highlighting creative decisions and subtle emotional cues captured in each image. The boys beamed with pride, and Megan felt a profound sense of accomplishment in helping them discover their own creative voices. After the presentation, Megan suggested they reflect on the day. Think about what you learned, not just about photography, but about working together, serving details, and expressing yourselves, she said. Ryan reflected thoughtfully. I never knew taking pictures could tell a story like this. I feel like I can really show how things feel. Kay nodded, adding, it's fun, and I didn't even realize I was learning so much. Kay, Megan smiled, appreciating how naturally the lessons had taken root. It was evident that the boys' growth extended beyond technical skills. They were learning confidence, empathy, observational in a safe and supportive environment. As the evening wore on, Megan suggested they wind down with a short storytelling exercise. Each person would create a single narrative inspired by the photographs they had taken. Ryan went first, crafting a tale about curiosity and friendship inspired by their creative projects. Jake, with Megan's gentle guidance, made up a whimsical story involving toys and adventures in imaginary worlds. Megan contributed her own narrative, showing how observation and emotion could create depth without dramatics. The exercise reinforced their understanding of storytelling, emphasizing imagination and emotional connection rather than perfection or competition. Dinner arrived quietly, prepared with care, and the family gathered around the table. Megan encouraged discussion about the day's experiences, inviting both boys to share highlights and challenges. Ryan recounted how he had learned to see light and shadow differently, while Jake expressed pride in his creativity and ability to experiment. Megan praised both boys, emphasizing their achievements and the importance of curiosity, teamwork, and learning. The conversation was warm and genuine, reflecting a day full of meaningful interaction and growth. After dinner, Megan helped the boys tidy up one final time, putting away props, cameras, and sketches. They worked efficiently, laughing softly at minor mishaps, reflecting the trust and comfort they had developed. Megan observed how far they had come from nervous energy to confident participation, from tentative experimentation to imaginative storytelling. She felt a quiet pride in her role as mentor and supporter, appreciating how ordinary moments could evolve into significant lessons and lasting memories. As the night deepened, Megan suggested a calm reflection before bed. Think about what you enjoyed most today and what you want to try tomorrow, she said. The boys settled on the couch with blankets, speaking quietly about favorite parts of the day. Ryan described his newfound confidence with the camera, while Jake relived moments of playful creativity. Megan listened, offering encouragement and gentle observations, reinforcing the lessons of trust, creativity, and personal growth. She recognized how these interactions, simple yet intentional, had nurtured not just skill, but character and confidence. Finally, Megan led the boys to their rooms, helping them prepare for sleep with calm conversation and quiet laughter. She reflected on the day, marveling at the seamless combination of learning, play, and mentorship. The sunlight of the afternoon had given way to the warm glow of evening, leaving the house bathed in a peaceful, cozy ambience. Megan realized that guiding others was as much about emotional connection and trust as it was about skill. She felt a profound satisfaction in having created a safe, nurturing, and stimulating environment where growth and creativity could flourish. Before leaving the boys to sleep, Megan paused at the doorway, watching them settle into their beds. Their quiet breathing and soft murmurs were a testament to the day's success. She thought about how curiosity, patience, and careful guidance had transformed a simple afternoon into an experience full of learning, laughter, and connection. Megan understood that moments like these, though small and often unnoticed, were the foundation of meaningful memories and personal growth. She felt a quiet joy in knowing she had been part of that process. As Megan turned off the lights and left the room, she reflected on the lessons of the day, the importance of creativity, the power of imagination, the value of guidance, and the significance of emotional connection. She realized that trust and respect, combined with encouragement and patience, had enabled the boys to explore, learn, and grow safely. Megan felt a deep sense of fulfillment, knowing she had nurtured confidence and creativity in a positive and responsible manner. The night ended with Megan quietly closing the door, leaving the boys to their dreams. The house was calm, filled with a lingering warmth from shared experiences, laughter, and gentle mentorship. Megan's heart was full, knowing that even simple creative activities could leave lasting impressions. She looked forward to future afternoons filled with learning, exploration, and connection, confident in the knowledge that trust, respect, and encouragement could create moments that mattered. In the quiet of the evening, Megan realized that the most meaningful lessons weren't measured by skill alone, but by the confidence, joy, and growth that emerged when curiosity was nurtured in a safe, respectful, and supportive environment.